Welcome, luxury enthusiasts, to the Luxury Travelers Podcast, hosted by Rodney George. The ultimate passport to opulent destinations, extravagant experiences, and unparalleled indulgence. Whether one is a seasoned jet setter or daydreaming of the next lavish getaway, the Luxury Travelers Podcast has it all covered. So buckle up and prepare for a journey into the lap of luxury. Now, your host.
Well, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, whatever time it is when you're finally getting around to watching this episode of the Luxury Travelers Podcast. Today, I don't have a guest. I wanted to kind of spend some time talking with you about the first 35 podcasts that we've done over the last 12 months. And I also want to talk to you a little bit about why are you sitting on the sofa when there's a whole world out there that you could be visiting. We all need time away. It helps us develop ourselves further. It helps us understand the world better. And make sure you spend it with someone that you really, really care about, because that's important too. But for those of you who haven't made all the podcasts, I wanted to give you some direction as to where you can find them. And depending on if you just want to listen to them or you want to watch them, that would dictate some direction that you might take. For example, if you're a visual person, and my producer, Abe, does an incredible job at getting video and still photographs of what we're talking about on every episode. So most people that I've talked to prefer to watch it as opposed to just listening in. If you just want to listen, you can find us on iHeart. You can find us on Apple Podcast, on Spotify, on Deezer, on Amazon Music. But if you want to watch, you're going to have to go to YouTube. And it's very simple. You just go to YouTube and in the search bar, type in The Luxury Travelers with an S on the end of it podcast. And then you can see everything. Or you can simply go to our website, LuxTrav, it's LuxETrav.com, and click on the podcast at the top of the page, and it will take you to a directory of all 35, 36 podcasts that we've done so far in the last 12 months. So I just want to run through with you real quickly some of the things we've done that would perhaps make the highlight roll if you're a luxury traveler at heart. The very first podcast that we did after our introductory one was with my good friend, Tom Larock. Tom Larock is probably one of the most knowledgeable people on earth about the African continent and about safaris. As a matter of fact, when we do events here in Naples, he always comes in his safari garb, and I think that might be the only clothes he has. But boy, does he have the knowledge of Africa. And he does all the Naples zoo trips every year, and we usually do 2 of those. And he's just a top-notch, down-to-earth, lovable kind of guy. And that's episode 2. My third episode was with Kim Guimaraes. Kim Guimaraes is the director of national accounts for Abercrombie and Kent. And this lady knows the world as well as anybody that I know. And she knows it at a deep level because she's lived it, she's traveled it, and she's done that. One of my favorite interviews was with Michelle Fee. Michelle is a great friend of mine. She started this organization that we're a part of. We own a franchise with Cruise Planners, and Michelle started Cruise Planners 30 years ago. And if you look at her in the video, you'll think she's not even 30 years old. Well, she is, and I won't tell you how old she is because that's not a thing that we do. But if you want to hear some great stuff about the world and about travel in general, Michelle's interview is delightful. And then on the 5th episode, we moved into a guy that I've known for about 15 years. His name is Claudius Docekal. And I promise you, he is, in my 70 plus years on the planet, he knows more about planet Earth than anybody I know as far as travel is concerned. As a matter of fact, a former CEO of Azamara Cruise Lines nicknamed him years ago, and the nickname stuck. Larry Pimentel called my friend Claudius Google. That's how smart he is about the world that we live in. Next, we interviewed Jesse Terranova with TCS Travel. Those are the folks that provide the luxury jet travel around the world for you to do literally around the world in 20 to 22 days. They take brand new Airbus A300s that normally seat about 200 passengers, and they seat 52 passengers. 52 passengers with a chef, 9 flight attendants, a captain and co-captain. It is the way to see the world if you want to get it done in a hurry. Episode number 7 was Alex Sharp. Alex has been around travel for a long, long time, and Alex is the CEO of Signature Travel Network. Signature Travel Network is our consortium. They're one of the largest travel consortiums in the world, and Alex is one of the guys that goes out there and negotiates great deals for all the members of Signature. Number 8 is my good buddy and great friend, Dean Fearing, Chef Dean Fearing from Fearing's Restaurant at the Ritz-Carlton in Dallas. Dean has a number of claims to fame, but probably his proudest, other than his wonderful wife and family, is that he was the last James Beard Award winner from the city of Dallas. Now, it's hard to believe a city the size of Dallas and as many great restaurants as they have, there has not been a James Beard award-winning chef in Dallas in 25 years, 26 years, come to think of it, because we just turned the calendar over a few months ago. Take a look at Dean. He's fun. He's funny. He's got some really cool next-door neighbors. I'll tell you about that sometime when we have a chance to talk. Next was Sean Tubman. Sean is he's an executive vice president with Regent Seven Seas Cruise Line, one of my favorite cruise lines. The only cruise line in the world that has 3 ships that every time they come out with a new ship, they call them the most luxurious ship in the world. And these truly are the most luxurious ships in the world. The Explorer, the Grandeur, I don't remember the third one. Okay, anyway, right after that, I had Chris Austin. Chris is the president of the Americas for Explorer Journeys, and I've had the privilege recently of cruising on their 2 ships. They have 2 ships with 4 more coming. And I knew I was going to have a luxurious experience the moment I stepped on the ship, was handed a glass of champagne, and I looked up, and there was a Rolex store, a Piaget store, and a Cartier store. I said, okay, this is all about the luxury experience, and it truly is. So I can't wait for you to see the interview that I did with Chris. Then there was Joe Leon. Joe is the director of sales for Silversea Cruises. And Silversea is doing some really interesting things, especially in the expedition area, the Arctic, the Antarctic, the Galapagos Islands. Great guy, Joe Leon. And then I did an interview with Liz Coleman, who at the time was the national sales manager for Paul Gauguin. Paul Gauguin cruises the Society, they cruise French Polynesia, the Society, the Marquesas, and the Cook Islands 52 weeks a year. As a matter of fact, we're putting together earlier today the skeleton for a group cruise to go to the Society Islands coming up soon. So watch your email blast and your text messages. Next, we interviewed Glenn Rothy. Glenn is the director of sales for Crystal Cruises, now that Crystal is a part of Abercrombie and Kent. If you're a former Crystal cruiser, you got to get back on board and see what they've done with those 2 ships, with some more ships coming in the not-too-distant future. Episode number 14 was Steve Smotry. Steve is the director of sales for Seabourn. Again, another one of our favorite luxury brands, and he provides insight into the world of Seabourn. Next, I interviewed my buddy, Jeff Cesar. Jeff is with Rocky Mountaineer. Now, people ask me all the time, where's your favorite place to go? And I said, well, I got a lot of favorite places. Let me just say the most beautiful place I've ever been is Bora Bora. Again, the Society Islands, French Polynesia. But number 2, and a close second, is the Western Canadian Rockies by train, specifically Rocky Mountaineer train. Check that one out if you have an interest in going somewhere cool this July or August. Then I interviewed Dondra Rosenthaler. Dondra is the former director of marketing for Celebrity Cruises, and she's now the CEO of Azamara. And I'm so anxious to see the changes that she's preparing to make with Azamara and to take that brand and revolutionize it. Next, I interviewed my friend Nikki Upshaw, who's, I believe her title is the Director of Global Sales for Oceania Cruises. Nikki's a very knowledgeable individual about all things Oceania. And Oceania, if you've never tried that on for size, is known for the incredible cuisine that they serve. As a matter of fact, the legendary Jacques Pepin was their very first employee when they started the cruise line. Next, I had Tim Tetzlaff. Tim is the Director of Conservation for the zoo here in Naples, Florida. Tim's knowledge of Africa is second only to our first guest, that was Tom Larock. They go hand in hand. Tim adds a new element when we're going to Africa with him, because he knows a lot of people that write for National Geographic. One lady happens to have lived in Tanzania the last 20 years, and she writes constantly with National Geographic. So that's an interesting episode with Tim. Next, I had Alex Pinello, who's with AMA Waterways. AMA is one of the big players on the river waterways in Europe, and AMA is one of the favorites of the ladies in my office, and they always seem to do a lot of things right. We then took a break from the interviews, and I did a whole segment on low or no single supplement opportunities for travel. If you are single, or even if you're not single, but you travel singly, if that's a word, you really want to take a look at this, because if you let us know, we'll put you on the list. And when we have great things for singles, for example, just a couple of weeks ago, Crystal Cruises announced 223, I believe was the number, cruises that have no single supplement, zero. Because if you've ever tried to go on a cruise by yourself, you know that you have to pay for two people, even though there's only one person in the room. Crystal, on 223 of their sailings, says not to worry. You only have to pay for yourself. So check out episode 20 if that's of interest to you. Next, we had Saliba Danho. He's a tour operator in Israel. And I will tell you this, I think he probably knows as much about Israel. I think the only person that probably knows more about Israel than him is God himself. This man is a joy to listen to. The history, basically from Old Testament days all the way up until today. If you want to go to Israel, you need to watch episode 21 and then give us a call. Next, I had Daniel Santiago. Daniel runs a company, or he's the national sales director for a company that we use called Regal Wings. Regal Wings is an air consolidation company, and we book a lot of our clients by using Regal Wings because they get deals, plain and simple, that we don't. Episode 23 featured Anna Pinto. The Pinto family is known for the incredible safaris that they do all over Africa, Mikado safaris. And they also do probably the best job of anybody in India. But the interview with Anna Pinto was very unique, and she grew up in Africa. So something certainly worth listening to and watching. And I'm going to tell you that one of the things that she talks about on that video is her life as a child growing up in Africa. And that is certainly worth a few minutes of your time. Next, we had Space Perspectives. Adita was the lady's name. Space Perspective is for those people who have been everywhere and done everything. It's actually a gas-filled balloon to the edge of space. I'm not going to tell you any more about it. If you have an interest in doing that, they're taking reservations now. I think they're all the way up to 2029 that they're booking reservations for. Unique opportunity to travel with only 7 other people, I believe, to the edge of space and then back down in luxury, no less. The episode 25 is Jesse Terranova. I had another episode with him talking about their new plane. Then Carl Canstetter with Signature Travel Network. Carl used to be with one of the major luxury brands in the expedition area. He's on episode 26, and he talks all about the various expedition opportunities that exist for us who are affiliates of the Signature Travel Network. Next, we had Bill Hogan. Hogan is a name familiar to golf. Well, Bill is a golfer. He is a global sales director, I believe is his title, for Premier Golf. and they do some of the darndest golf trips imaginable. So if you got buddies and you guys want to travel and play some golf at various places around the world, give us a call and let's talk about Premier Golf. Next, I had Ellen McIlvaine, who's with Ponant, and it's actually, if you're French, it's Ponant, I believe. But nonetheless, Ponant has 225 passenger ships that do every nook and cranny of the world, and she was a delight to have on, so be sure and watch that. Next, we had Traveling Spoon. This is a couple of ladies that have MBAs from University of California, and they started a company called Traveling Spoon, which gives you the ability to dine with families in their homes all over the world. Last count, they had somewhere around 3,000, 3,500 people around the world, not chefs, not trained chefs, but people that love to cook and love to talk about their locality, their history, and so on and so forth. My clients tell me it's some of the most delightful evenings they've had were when we booked them on a Traveling Spoon for dinner. Oscar Dunn. Oscar's a great guy. He is the director of expedition travel for Abercrombie and Kent. I would put his knowledge of the Arctic and the Antarctic up against anybody. He's been there, done that. He's lived it, and he knows it from cover to cover. So if you want to know more about Antarctica or the Arctic regions, watch episode 31 with Oscar Dunn. Episode 32 was my friend Richard Hickey, who's with Avalon Waterways. Avalon is one of the big players on the rivers of Europe. They also are known for being one of the more affordable options when you're going to travel on the waterways in Europe. Episode 33 took me a long time to get this guy to come on the show, but episode 33 is Steve Spivak, a great friend of mine. Steve is the director of global sales and reservations for Tauk. The one thing I love about Tauk, I love a lot of stuff about Tauk, but the most important thing is when I send a client on a Tauk tour, river cruise, ocean cruise, whatever, they always come back having had a fabulous experience, and they want to know what else does Tauk do, because we really love the way they handled everything. And I just kind of lean back in my chair and smile, because Tauk does all 7 oceans and all 7 continents. So some interesting travel there if you like to travel with knowledgeable people that take excellent, excellent care of you. Tauk is the way to go. Episode 33. Episode 34, I interviewed Chef Catherine Kelly, who is the director of the culinary experiences with Oceania and their sister company, Regent Seven Seas Cruises. Chef Kelly, actually, I think she invented the hands-on experience on the cruise ships, or the off-the-ship option where you go with the culinary center chef and you go shopping in the various ports that you're in, and you bring things back and you prepare a whole meal in the culinary center. Or if you just want to do something as simple as learn how to make the best pasta that you've ever put in your mouth, they have all kinds of sessions while you're traveling on Oceania and Regent through their culinary centers. So watch episode 34 if that's of interest to you. Episode 35, Tim Tetzloff came back and did another session on a very special trip that he put together for this October of this year, an over-the-top experience, because you spent a day and a half tagging giraffes. Giraffes are a threatened species in Africa, and they're going to be tagging giraffes so that they can track them with the satellites and learn more about their travel, as well as their places that they hide out and places that they seem to be getting in the most trouble. And then episode 36, I told you I'd been on Explorer Journeys twice in the last, 6 months, yeah. And I interviewed they used to call them the hotel manager, and now they call them the general manager on Explorer. They call him the general manager of Explorer 2. His name is Nevin Zidnik. And this guy has been with MSC, the parent company of Explorer, for over 30 years. His father was there for well over 30 years before he retired. Just a delight to sit across the desk from him there on board the ship and listen to his stories about the evolution of the cruise business, and in particular, the luxury cruise business. We have a few more podcasts that we'll be producing in the coming days. We're going to come back in a week or so and do what I call the 5 myths about travel consultants or travel advisors. There are a ton of myths out there. We're going to talk about the 5 most prevalent ones so that you get an idea of why everyone should you be using a travel advisor, not booking direct with the vendor. There's no reason to book direct with the vendor because everything that we do for you will almost always guarantee some additional perks that the vendor's not going to tell you about, some additional perks that will make a difference in how much you enjoy your trip. That's about all I have for now. I would tell you as we head into Friday afternoon here in Southwest Florida, as I always do, and that is to enjoy yourself. I'm serious. Get out there and enjoy yourself. It is later than you think. Bye for now. We'll see you in a few days.
Thanks for joining us on the Luxury Travelers Podcast. For more information, head on over to luxurytravelerspodcast.com to connect with our team or leave us a message. Until next time, safe travels and savor the extraordinary.